In the opulent world of the ultra-rich, power is a language spoken with whispers and sharp glances. But beneath the shimmering surface of designer gowns and crystal chandeliers, secrets fester like wounds. This is the story of Amelia, a woman who had everything: beauty, status, and the ring of one of the most powerful men in the city on her finger. And this is the story of Clara, the quiet, forgotten maid who had nothing but a past she was desperate to hide. Their worlds were not meant to collide, but they did. In a single, violent moment, Amelia tore Clara's uniform, and in doing so, she exposed a scar that would not only unravel a carefully constructed lie, but also shatter the very foundation of the life she had so meticulously built. Amelia Kensington was the envy of every socialite in the city. She had the pedigree, the poise, and the perfect figure that graced the covers of fashion magazines. Her engagement to Damien Sterling, the brooding and handsome tech billionaire, was the fairy tale everyone talked about. But fairy tales are rarely the whole truth. Damien was a ghost in his own home. He was consumed by his work, his empire, his relentless pursuit of more. He provided Amelia with everything: a black card with no limit, a closet full of haute couture, and a ring that could buy a small island. But he was emotionally absent, a distant planet in her solar system. Amelia's life was a gilded cage. She filled the void of his absence with the intoxicating rush of power and control. She was the queen of her domain, and the only subjects she had were the household staff. Amelia ruled with an iron fist. She found solace in making others feel small, believing it was the only way to feel powerful. And her favorite target was the newest addition to the staff, a quiet, mousy girl named Clara. Clara was a ghost. She moved through the mansion with a silent grace, her footsteps barely audible on the cold marble floors. She was a master of being unseen, a skill she had honed over years of hardship. Unlike the other staff, who gossiped and complained, Clara was a model of efficiency and quiet humility. She took the blame for others' mistakes and did the work of two people without a word of complaint. The head housekeeper, Mrs. Evans, was the only one who saw the flicker of something else in Clara's eyes. A deep, profound sadness. A tiredness that went beyond mere exhaustion. Clara had a secret so powerful it could bring the mighty Damien Sterling to his knees. The day she started working at Sterling Manor, she had recognized him instantly. The memories were like shards of glass, sharp and painful. But she had to stay. She needed the money, and more than that, she needed to be close to him. Close to the man who was the reason she was living in the shadows. The night of the annual Sterling Gala arrived. It was a display of wealth and power, a performance of happiness. Amelia was in her element. She was glowing with the attention, smiling as cameras flashed. But all the while, a bitter resentment was brewing in her chest. Damien had spent the entire week in his office, giving her a cold shoulder. He didn't care about the party. He didn't care about her. She needed to unleash her frustration. She needed to prove her power. Her eyes scanned the room for a target and landed on a figure in a gray uniform, quietly clearing glasses from a side table.
Clara.
Amelia snapped her fingers.
You.
Maid. Her voice was sharp as a whip. My champagne is warm. Get me a new one. Now. Clara flinched but obeyed, scurrying off. Watch where you're going. Amelia snarled, her voice dripping with venom. You're so clumsy and pathetic. I don't know why you were even hired. Clara bowed her head. I'm sorry, Miss Kensington. I'll be more careful. Pathetic, Amelia sneered, taking a step closer. Her eyes fell on the hem of Clara's uniform, slightly frayed. And look at the state. What is that disgusting thing you're wearing? It's an eyesore. This whole event is supposed to be perfect, and you're making it look like a beggar's convention. Look at me when I'm talking to you, Amelia screamed. In a violent act of rage, she pulled the uniform sharply. There was a loud rip as the fabric tore, right down the front of Clara's dress, exposing the plain white blouse underneath. A collective gasp echoed in the corridor. A few staff members who had witnessed the scene froze in horror. Mrs. Evans rushed forward, her face pale. But Amelia's eyes weren't on the torn uniform. They were fixed on the exposed skin beneath. On Clara's chest, just above her left breast, there was a long, jagged scar. It was a brutal, puckered line like a lightning bolt. It was clearly a scar from a severe injury, a knife wound, or a surgical scar from a life-threatening accident. But in the middle of it, a small, intricate tattoo was partially visible, the corner of a symbol. Amelia's triumphant smile vanished. Her face drained of all color. Her hand went limp, letting go of the fabric. The champagne bottle slipped from the tray and shattered on the marble floor, but nobody looked at it. "No," Amelia whispered, her voice trembling. She stumbled backward, a look of pure, unadulterated terror in her eyes. It can't be. The scar, the symbol, the maid of misfortune. You remember now, don't you? Clara's voice was quiet but steady, a powerful contrast to Amelia's panicked stammering. The accident. The fire. You were supposed to be the one in that car. The Good Samaritan was supposed to be just a stranger. Amelia shook her head.
No.
The news reports, they said the driver, the young man, he died. The doctors, they said you died. The Good Samaritan was me, Clara said, her voice laced with a bitter history. And yes, I was declared dead at the scene.
But I didn't die.
I was in a coma for 6 months. I woke up scarred and alone. Everyone I knew had moved on, including you. And the man I saved? He got to walk away. He got to become the king of the world, with his perfect fiancée by his side. Suddenly, a new voice cut through the tension. It was deep, cold, and filled with a tremor of shock. Clara? Damien Sterling was standing at the end of a corridor. He had come to find Amelia, to check on her, and had witnessed the final moments of the confrontation. His face was ashen. He walked forward slowly, his eyes locked on Clara. He looked at the scar on her chest. He remembered the night of the crash. The Good Samaritan who pulled him from the burning wreckage. The intense eyes of the person who saved his life and the searing pain of the explosion, followed by the memory of that same person being flung back, the glint of fire in their hair.
He knew that scar.
You were the one, he whispered, his voice shaking. You're the one who you saved my life. You were the one who... He took another step closer, his face a mixture of horror and guilt. The doctors said the Good Samaritan died. They said the driver died. They said, "Why didn't you come to me? I tried to find you. I put up missing person posters. I never forgot that face. I searched for you." Clara's eyes glistened with unshed tears. "I didn't have an ID on me," she said softly. "I was a nobody. The police never connected me to the crash. And by the time I woke up, you were gone. Your parents had moved you away. They hid you from the press." Amelia's mind was racing. Her perfect fairy tale was crumbling. It wasn't just the secret of the scar. It was the symbol. A symbol she had been told belonged to a rival, a girl who had once been close to Damien. What are you talking about, Damien?" Amelia stammered, trying to regain control. "She's just a maid. She's lying. She's trying to manipulate you." Damien turned to Amelia, his eyes cold and hard.
No, Amelia.
"You are the one who lied. You told me the Good Samaritan was a random man who died in the crash. You said I was saved by a stranger. You were there. You saw her. You knew it was a woman, and you let me believe they were dead, so you could forget about it. So you could have me all to yourself." He turned back to Clara. "Why did you stay here? Why did you take this job?" Clara took a deep breath. "Because your mother hired me. She's the only one who knew the truth all along. She found me a few years ago. She felt guilty that her son's new life was built on someone else's sacrifice. She got me the job. She said it was the only way she could keep an eye on me, to make sure I was okay. I wasn't here to blackmail you, Damien. I was here to work, to try and forget. But I couldn't. I just needed to see for myself if you were happy." Amelia's face contorted with rage. Her carefully constructed mask had completely shattered. She screamed, lunging at Clara. Damien stepped between them, blocking her. "Get away from her!" Damien shouted, his voice echoing through the corridor. He pushed Amelia back, his eyes blazing with fury. Amelia stumbled, her gold gown catching on the broken champagne bottle. She fell to the floor, the picture of a modern-day queen fallen from grace. The diamond earrings she was wearing dislodged, falling from her ear and shattering on the marble floor. "You ruined everything," Amelia shrieked, tears of rage streaming down her face. "You always ruin everything. You saved him, and I could never measure up. I was never good enough. All my life, I had to fight for everything, and then you came along and got all the glory with that stupid, selfless act. You were just a nobody. I was supposed to be his queen." Damien ignored Amelia completely. He turned to Clara, his face softening for the first time in years. He reached out and gently touched her shoulder, the place where her uniform was torn. "Clara," he whispered, his voice full of a tenderness he had never shown Amelia. "I'm so sorry. For everything. For not finding you. For forgetting, for letting my own mother hide you from me, to protect my reputation." He pulled her into an embrace, a gesture of pure, unadulterated gratitude. "You saved my life. I owe you everything." Amelia watched them, her heart shattering into a million pieces. She had fought so hard to be the queen, to control him, to own him. But she could never compete with a ghost from his past who had given him his future. The shock, the betrayal, the public humiliation, it was too much. The story was all over the news the next day. The billionaire's fiancée's cruelty exposed, Maid revealed as mystery heroine, a scandal that shattered a fortune. Amelia's perfect image was destroyed. The Sterling family, shocked by her cruelty and lies, severed all ties. The engagement was called off. She was left with nothing but a tarnished reputation and a mountain of regret. A week later, Amelia was sitting in a modest cafe, alone. She saw the headline on a newspaper lying on the table: "Damien Sterling dedicates new charity wing to his secret savior." A photo of Damien and Clara together, laughing. Clara looked beautiful and free, dressed in a simple, stylish dress, not a maid's uniform. She was happy. She was no longer invisible. Amelia stared at the picture. The scar, the symbol, the secret, it had all been a part of a story she didn't understand. A story of sacrifice, pain, and an unbreakable bond forged in fire. She had tried to tear down a ghost, but she had only succeeded in tearing down her own life. The maid in the torn uniform was no longer invisible. She was the hero of the story. And Amelia, for the first time, was the one left standing in the shadows, a cautionary tale of what happens when you let your hunger for power consume your humanity. In the end, it wasn't the money, the status, or the ring that defined who these women were. It was the choices they made when they were faced with another's humanity.
Amelia chose cruelty. Clara chose sacrifice.
And in the single act of tearing a uniform, the world was exposed to a truth that was more powerful than any fortune, that the scars we hide often tell the truest stories of all.